Hey Jesse, you mentioned that you are used to like drawing some lines and extruding walls, and I just wanted to show you that that's also possible in Blender. So this is kind of just a rough picture I made with a door open and a window. So the way I did that was, if you start a new scene in Blender, Blender has a bunch of cool add-ons that aren't initially visible. They just want to keep their screen somewhat clean because it's already messy, as you can see. So if you go into File, User Preferences, and then up here you click on add-ons. Like here's a whole list of add-ons that um, that aren't enabled, and the one that you may want to use is Archimesh or Archimesh, Arch, and you just click to engage it, and you can save the user setting if you want, but I don't. And now we have this Archimesh tab right here, and this allows us to create rooms. Um, I think I don't. I think it's kind of weird to create a room. So we're in the tool bar here with T, and if you open up the in properties tab and scroll to the bottom of the properties, you can make um, let's see, like number of walls, and then length of wall. Like this is kind of a weird way to do it. It does work, something like that, and then you can give it a ceiling and a floor, and then if you go inside, it gives yourself a baseboard, and I think you can like give yourself a wall cover, um, like trim and stuff. Anyways, so that's cool. But what you were talking about is, I think, also cool. There's this thing called a grease pencil. It's basically a drawing tool. So if you go to the top view, because you have to draw from the top view, and it even says push the 7 key. So we'll go up to the top view with 7, and I'll hit 5 to get this orthographic view. I'm going to close this properties panel with N. I'm sorry you can't see the keys I'm pushing because I'm using a different computer. So to draw with a grease pencil, you have to hold D. So D for draw. I'm holding D right now, and I'm just going to draw like a simple room. And I want there to be a ceiling, I want there to be a floor, and I want the walls to be closed. And then I'll click Room Draw, and like basically now here's a room. And so let's say I want to have a window um, and a door in this room. And also, if you hit N again, this room has all these properties. I have all these walls. Uh, like if you want to change like the length of wall 12, you can see it changing over there. Let's say I want to curve. I'm guessing wall 11 is this one. Let's say I want that to be curved. I can curve it like that, and um, I'm not sure. You can mess with like how detailed you want the curve to be. Anyways, so let's say you want a window first. Um, if you right click and set your cursor to the wall, and then say there's like two different types of windows. I'm not quite sure what the difference is. You can play with it yourself, but like a rail window. And there's this kind of plus looking thing right here. Um, this is called an empty, and that's how you move, because the window is made up of like two windows and a window frame and other stuff. So if you move this empty, all of them are parented to that empty, which means clicking and moving that moves them all together. If you were just to click the window and move it, that just like is sliding the window open. I'm hitting Z to go into wireframe mode, but um, that's what we want. And now I'm not seeing through the wall, right? Well, if you click the wall and scroll up to the top, you can click this auto holes and it should cut a hole where the window is, and it can update like automatically, but it's not. So if you try that, it won't work. It'll say walls must have a thickness. So if you go over here in the properties tab and I have the wall selected, you can see that if I give it a little, like just one click of thickness, now it's able to cut a hole. And sometimes as you move stuff around, you might find like, whoa, the hole ended up, being, the hole disappeared or whatever. It usually should update, but if you click the wall, you can auto hole again. And then let's say you want a door. So I right click there and I'll say door. And then one thing, so if you click the window frame, like not the windows, but if you click the window frame in the properties panel, you can see you have all these selections available. So do I want it to be a 2-leaf? Do I want it to be a right leaf? Then like what do I, see, we lost that hole again, but it'll come back. It's not a big deal. Do I want the windowsill, like, how far do I want the windowsill to drop? How much do I want to come out in front with the windowsill? Like if you wanted to put potted plants there or whatever. So yeah, by selecting the window frame, you still can you still can create certain options, and it's the same with the door. By selecting the door frame, like how wide do you want the door, how thick do you want the door, all sorts of stuff. Do you want it to open on the left? Do you want it to both sides? I'm just holding control and scrolling through with my mouse, but you can do it like that. Interesting, just changing the types of handles. Anyways, select the door and you can open it, but once again, there's no hole. So click the wall and auto holes, and then I'll click the door. I'm hitting R to rotate, and I'm going to hit Z to rotate it on the Z axis. So let's open the door. It looks like, open the window. One thing about these windows, notice how the shading on this window and this window look totally different. It's a glitch, and basically what's going on here is the normals of an object. And a normal is, if I click here, let's click here first, and I went into edit mode with tab to look at the normals. Like basically it's saying that this face is pointing out in that way, this face is pointing in this way, this face is pointing out. But if I go to this one and select normals, this window is actually, it's like pointing the wrong way. I want it to be pointing the way the face is pointing. So if you go into tools, if you have that selected in edit mode, there should be shading and UVs. So the tools bar is with T, shading and UVs, and you can flip the direction of the normal. You can also just type in flip. I hit spacebar and flip normal, but I want it facing that way. And the reason you want that is the materials behave differently based on how light is passing through the normals. So let's give this some sun. So right now this is just a point lamp. I'm going to close this properties tab, and I'm going to go into cycles render, and with the lamp selected over here to customize it, I'll click use nodes, and I'll click sun. And right now the sun is set to 100, and like normally if it's an outside scene, you have the sun set to 1 or 2 or 3, but since we want the light, we want it to be light enough in this dark room, I'm going to set it to like 40. And I'll hit Alt R to reset the rotation, so now it's straight down. I'll hit R and rotate it on the X. And so now light is going to be coming in sideways, and I'll hit R and rotate it on the Z. and we'll go inside and see how it looks. So to set my camera to this view, if I hit Control, Option, and 0, I set my camera to this view. And then if I click this little border right here, this is my camera, and hit, well, you can move the camera around by hitting G, like to move it. And if I only want to move it on the X, we'll move it like that. And if I want to like rotate it around, you can hit R and Z, just like it's an object. Because as you can see, it is an object. G moves it, RZ moves it like that, RX moves it like that. So 0 is from that view. So I had a little issue. My computer, when I hit render, so when I went to this section and hit rendered, it's not showing anything, and I'm thinking maybe this graphics card, I'm not on my normal computer, maybe this doesn't show real-time rendering, but if I click render over here, and I selected border, so I'm only rendering what's in this line. But anyways, if you click render, you can start seeing like there's our window, there's the windowsill, there's a cool like trim. And basically what I did was I went down to sampling and set the render samples to 50. The higher the render samples, the more clean your image is going to look. So this looks a little grainy. If you set this to 500, it'll look much, smoother. Also, sometimes you have these situations where there's like really bright white pixels popping up. Those are called fireflies. And if you clamp the indirect to something low like 3, it's basically saying like values that are greater than 3 delete or cut off. And those fireflies are just like glitches where it's like super high white. So it's greater than 1. Like normally white is 1, and those values are like super great. So you just clamp it at 3 and you can get rid of, I don't have any here. Um, Anyways, but like now you can experiment with like, oh, I want props, books, lamps, roller curtains, but let's put in like shelves. Let's rotate them, shelves right here. And let's put in a lamp, I guess, on the shelf, just to whatever. So there are like some pre-made props, which is kind of cool. I'm not sure if I'm actually getting it there. There we go. And then we'll hit render. So anyways, I just wanted to show you in this little tutorial that you can draw walls, like you draw like a top floor or top down blueprint. Those walls will automatically be extruded. How you can create pre-made windows, doors, and how it, you have to have thick walls, and you can use that auto cutter. How you can like select window frames, door frames, and keep modifying like the style of door. How you can have cabinets made. Yeah, and let's see how this shelf looks. It should be nicely lit because there's sun coming in right at it. And if you want your picture to be bigger, right now the resolution is 1920 by 1080, but it's doing 50% of that. And that's resolution right there means HD. So this is like half of HD. Nice little lamp. So you can boost that up to 100% if you want, or change it to a square ratio, like 1080 by 1080. But that looks pretty cool. Okay.